Hey, and welcome to this mix breakdown of a acoustic band, actually a acoustic trio that I recorded some time ago. And I wanted to share with you the mix process. Also going to talk a little bit about the recording process, what microphones I used, and why I used those microphones. And the band is called Serenade and Mo. They are 3 local musicians, and usually they have quite a minimum setup. They have acoustic guitar, sometimes also violin or cajon. But in this case, for this song, which is called Coffee to Go, we used just a acoustic guitar and 3 vocals, so 2 background vocals and a lead vocal. So I would say let's dive right into the song. I'm going to explain a little bit about the live setup. I'm going to show you also some sneak peeks of the video. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then I'm going to do the mix breakdown. All right, so let's get to it. So let's talk a little bit about the recording setup. As this is quite, I would say not a big room, but a medium-sized room, I had to do some baffling actually, so to separate them a little more. We actually tried to record it one by one, so just the lead guitar and the lead vocal first, and then the background vocals. But they were much more comfortable with a live recording, and which I was actually quite happy about that, because I think especially bands that are more live bands, they tend to be much better in a studio environment when they also do live takes. But of course you have to sing very tight and also play very tight. But it worked out quite well, as we'll hear in a minute. So what I used on the acoustic guitar is a AKG C414 XLS in a standard, no, it was hypercardioid, when I remember correctly. And it was a little bit angled down towards the ground actually, so to have less bleed of the vocals in there. And on the lead vocal, I had a Lewitt LCD 640TS in the standard cardioid mode. And it worked out actually quite well. I mean, there is some bleed in the vocal microphone, of course, from the guitar. But I also used a DI track just to have kind of like a little bit of a backup of the acoustic guitar if there is too much bleed in the acoustic guitar mic, so of the vocals. But it turned out that there wasn't actually much bleed in there, and I used the DI for a different thing later on that you will see then. And as far as the background vocals go, as you can see, I've used standard dynamic microphones, so live microphones actually. They are very cheap microphones, JTS PDM3, I think Asian microphones, and they worked actually quite well. They're clones of the Shure SM58, but much cheaper. You can get them around 50 euros, as I remember correctly. And they have a very good actually room rejection, so you can't hear actually the room, and you can't actually hear any bleed of the lead vocals, just a little bit maybe of the guitar, but that's about it. So I used these microphones just to have a very, very clear sound image actually, so I can pan the 2 background vocals left and right without having much bleed of the guitar and the lead vocal in there. So, and as you can see in the video, I also have a baffle in the middle, so between the background vocals and the acoustic guitar and the lead singer, so just to have a little bit more of a separation in there. So it turned out quite well. So let's head over now to the DAW. As you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tracks. The first 2 tracks are acoustic guitar, so maybe let's play a little bit of the song so you will hear how it sounds.
Darf's für sie no a Sackerl sein, praktisch ist was kostet wird. A ruhiger Fluss fließt leise dahin durch seine Ufer.
They sing about the whole zero waste movement, and the song is called Coffee to Go.
Die Menschheit, sie schmückt die Natur. weil wer die Natur ohne Schmuck nicht fahrt, der Euphemismus hinterlässt.
That's solo the acoustic guitars, so just the C414 track. And what I used here is just a standard channel EQ from Logic. Made a low cut here that I most always do on acoustic guitars of 80 Hertz. And I reduced a little bit of 100 here and also 190, sometimes on 200. Sounds a little bit muffled sometimes. Even though I played around, of course, with the microphone placement, and as this was a live setting, I actually couldn't use the microphone in the placement that I usually use on the acoustic guitar, which is most of the times between the 12th and 14th fret, and maybe angled a little bit towards the sound hole. But as I wanted to reduce the vocal spill, I angled it a little bit down, and this leads to a little bit more of a muffled sound, so I took that out here. So let's listen to it without and with. I mean, it's not bad, but just clears it up a little bit more. The boosting was done then on the console, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But let's go first of all to the acoustic DI track. It sounds like that, without the effect. Let's go to place here where it's a little bit louder. And what I tried to do here is, as I have this DI track, I thought, well, I could sneak it underneath the original take with the C414. So, and I thought I would get a little bit of a wider stereo image here, but without having to use a chorus plugin. But what comes close to that is the real ATD. It sounds kind of like a chorus type, but I think the separation of the left and the right, the ATD signal, is a little bit better, and it sounds a little bit better to my ear. And so I have here a kind of like a fake stereo effect where the source is panned to the left and the ADT signal is panned fully to the right with a little bit of a drive on both. And this is very key here, the rate, the hertz. I found out that on 0.120 or 0.100, it isn't too obvious and too chorusy sounding, but it's just the right amount, at least for this track. So let's engage it. Without. And with. So let's bring also the acoustic guitar mic in. So you can hear just a little bit of a vocal spill in there without the effect. And so it really opens up to the left and right. It's a little bit more obvious here, but when we take into account that we have the vocals. And on the console here on track 13 and 14, which is my stereo track for acoustic guitars, all acoustic guitars go to that, even if I have more in the DAW. I used a little bit of a top end boost and also a little bit of 2K boost. And that's basically it, so nothing more. So let's listen to that without. Solo it again. And with. Again without. And with. All right. And finally, also on the acoustic guitar, I have a compressor inserted, the FMR RNLA, which I have in the rack here. It's for quite some time now my go-to compressor for the acoustic guitar, and I just did some minor compression around -4 dB, quite a fast release and a medium attack. So let's go then to the lead vocal, and on the lead vocal I have a channel EQ again, where I did a little bit of a cutting here, a certain frequency that I didn't like, so I cut it out, 9,900 Hertz. And I also, again, a little bit of a muffleness in there of 200, -3 dB. Low cut was done on the console. And then there is also a de-esser. Let's listen to that. What's that doing? So let's...
Wegwerfbecher, recycelste Chlor, in deine Augen hat's keinen Sinn. Und
up to -6, a little bit more sometimes. 7,500 with the waves drin. And there's also a bus. This is going out to the console to a lead vocal parallel, where I have the FMR RNC, which I have here in the rack. And this is doing quite a bit of compression and with fast attack and a medium release actually. And it's just helping to fatten up the vocals a little bit more. So it sounds like that.
In deine Augen hat's keinen Sinn und 2030 schwimmt im Meer.
All right. Bring it back again, so it's just sneaked underneath the original lead vocal here. And let's solo maybe now just the vocal again on the quiet part, because I want to show you now the compression. And I used outboard compressors, clock Technic ones, actually 2 in a row, the 1176 and the 2A from Clock Technic. And I have this setup going on where the first one, the 1176, is in the limiting mode, so in a ratio of 20:1 with a fast release and a medium attack. And it just kind of like tickles the signal a little bit, so it reduces just the peaks up to 2.5 dB of compression. And then it's routed into the 2A that does the main compression and to get over the coloration and the tone of it. So let's see on the quieter part, for example, here. The 1176 is doing basically nothing because there are louder peaks or transients in there, and the 2A is compressing a little bit. And for example, on the louder part here, we have a little bit of compression going on. All right, so they are in a row, so 1176 before the 2A. And on the console, I have a just a low cut, so I didn't boost anything. I was quite happy with the sound overall. It fitted quite well in with the acoustic guitars, so just the acoustic guitar and the lead vocal.
An billigen Coffee to go. Denkst an Plastikinseln im Meer irgendwo. Geh, was ändert es schon? Du holst dann.
And that's basically it. There's also a little bit of an overall reverb, of course. I'm going to show you later on when we do the FX, just 2 reverbs. But let's head on to the background vocals. So 2 background vocals, Sarah and Moritz. And I have here 2 compressors, and I used here the plug-in version of waves from 2A. Let's play the 2 vocals both together, maybe. Not much compression here. Again, that's the quieter part. A little bit more compression here. Alright. And there was basically nothing else done. Panned them a little bit to the left and to the right. And on the console, I used here a little bit of a top-end boost again. And there's also, we took out a little bit of 200 again, 250, and a low cut of 100. And that's basically it, what it did to the vocals. Again, there's also a little bit of reverb on them. And there's also another track, the background vocals parallel, where I use parallel compression, same as with the lead vocal. I have a second FMR RNC unit, which you can see in the rack here. And it's basically the same settings as the lead vocal, but this is in stereo mode now. So as you can see, we have quite a bit of compression going on. A little bit more than on the lead vocal parallel. And this is just sneaked underneath, so you can have a little bit more. Maybe let's listen to that.
Wegwerfbecher, recycelste Chlor, in deine Augen hat's keinen Sinn. Und 2030 schwimmt im Meer.
This is just the lead vocal parallel.
Wegwerfbecher, recycelste Chlor, in deine Augen hat's keinen Sinn. Und 2030 schwimmt im Meer.
That's just sneaked under the original single.
Wird es hin, so muss es sein, können wir uns nicht zusammenreißen.
As far as the bassing goes, the instruments, the acoustic guitar goes obviously into the instrument bus jack. There is no compression EQ on it. And that goes again with the vocals, and also the effects then go into the mix bus. On the mix bus, I use the Tegeler Cream. I almost always use that on the mix bus. It's my main go-to mix bus compressor and EQ. There's a Pultec style EQ where I boosted a little bit of 100 and also a little bit of 12,000 Hertz. So kind of like a little bit of a smiley curve EQ. EQ comes before the compressor. And the compressor is a SSL bus type compressor with a ratio of 2:1. I've set a ratio of 2:1, and auto release and 10 ms of attack. And when we look at it, we just have on the louder parts up to 2.5 dB of compression, something like that. So let's listen without.
Mehr Plastik als Leben drin. Wo führt es hin, so muss es sein, können wir uns nicht zusammenreißen. Was hier so gemütlich war.
Alright, and the last track here, before we go to the effects, it's kind of like a little bit of a fun effect here. Let's listen to it.
Aufgrund leer gebliebener gelber Tonnen und dem damit verbundenen Personalüberfluss stieg bei der Müllabfuhr die Zahl der Arbeitslosen im vergangenen Quartal um 57,3%. Die EU-Kommission möchte die Produktion von Einwegplastik gesetzlich verbieten. Erste protestierende Fischschwärme fürchten Entzug.
It just came to me that sounds like he's kind of like a radio moderator or something like that. So I went here with a channel EQ, and I went here with the preset of the megaphone. Sounded perfectly fine with that, which has a quite severe low cut and a high cut, and quite a bit of boosting on the middle here, as you can see. So without it,
Aufgrund leer gebliebener gelber Tonnen und dem damit verbundenen Personalüberfluss stieg bei der Müllabfuhr die Zahl der Arbeitslosen im vergangenen Quartal um 57%.
And just to make it a little bit more present and to come out a little more, we have quite a bit of compression going on.
Aufgrund leer gebliebener gelber Tonnen und dem damit verbundenen Personalüberfluss stieg bei der Müllabfuhr die Zahl der Arbeitslosen im vergangenen Quartal um 57,3%. Die EU-Kommission möchte die Produktion von Einwegplastik gesetzlich verbieten. Erste protestierende Fischschwärme fürchten Entzugserscheinungen ihrer Nachkommen.
And as far as automation goes, did actually not quite any automation, just on a part here, where I just lift the acoustic guitar up, because there's a silence of the singing. And I just used actually the region gain here, as you can see, the different regions. We have -2 here also, and especially on this quieter part and the other parts, boosted sometimes quite a bit, depending how loud I want it. And yeah, that's basically, here is the mixdown of the track. So everything gets then, once I have everything done outboard-wise and on the console, it gets recorded through the stereo sum and the Tegeler Cream back into the audio interface, and it comes on this mix track here. And then you have a final mix. So finally, the FX, quickly, I used 2 outboard, no plugins in that case. Alesis, MIDI-Verb, and a Lexicon LXP15. And the MIDI-Verb has the warm room setting. Most of the time you use that setting. You probably have seen that in my other videos. What I try to do with the MIDI-Verb here is to have a little bit of more a coherent sound and give it a little bit of a room sound. Room here is quite dampened and just wanted to make it a little bit more lively. So I sneaked it underneath and it sounds like that. And the other one is the LXP15 from Lexicon, and I have it in the large dark room, I think. Sounds quite nice and sounds like that. So without those, you have headphones on, you can hear it quite, it's more dry without it. And then so it's just a little bit in there to give it a little bit more space. Alright, so that's basically it once again. I hope that it could give you a good insight how I approach this mix and also the recording. I think they're really a great band, and they have also a great style of songwriting. So please check them out. I have all the links in the description below to their YouTube channel. You can also see the full video there. And also to the iTunes Store and so forth, and Spotify. So if you like the song, you can of course buy it. So give them a thumbs up. And also, if you like that video, please give me a thumbs up. Of course, please subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, happy recording and mixing, and see you in the next video.